Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on and talk about some books. If you watch my Whateverthon week 3 reading vlog, which I will link up above and down below, you may be familiar with this outfit because I have just gone from one filming into the next for Whateverthon week 4. This is my reading vlog for week 4. Sorry, that was a really jumbled and blurred and weird way to say that. But anyway, welcome to the video. Let me know if you're joining Whateverthon and what you're reading at the moment. I'd love to talk to you guys down below. For me, at the moment, I am reading or just starting The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. This is a book that has been massively hyped up in the book community. And I think a number of people have done like reading vlogs and like buddy reads and all sorts of like live review videos, whatever those are called, of this book, so I thought I would join the train and give it a go myself. From my little knowledge of this book, I believe it revolves around Addie Larue, who I think 300 years prior to the events of this book, she made a deal with the devil or something to live forever. The only footnote in this deal is that everyone she meets will forget who she is. So she's been living her life for about 300 years with everybody forgetting who she is after they've met her, until one day she meets this one guy who I think's name is Henry, and he remembers who she is. I'm super excited to read this book, obviously because of the massive hype around it. I feel like I've come to this sort of train for this book super late, but I will start reading it. I haven't really read much more than like 5 or 6 pages, so I'll start reading it now and let you guys know my thoughts in a bit. As for my update for what I'm planning to do today, it is Monday. I am on my lunch break right now, so I'm doing a little bit of filming. I've got a few videos that I'm planning now so I can upload them throughout the week. So I'm just going to continue filming and you'll see this outfit in a few more videos to come, and then get back to work once my lunch break is over and then do some reading. So not a heap planned tonight, just doing really chill, really simple, really easy evening in. Got a lovely pasta bake for dinner, which I made last night. I might show you a picture of it. I don't know, it's not a particularly lovely looking dish, it just tastes really good. So yeah, I will see you guys in a little bit. It is Tuesday evening. It took me a minute to remember what day it is because already the start of the week has been hectic, but I mean, what's new? And I am about halfway into this lovely, beautiful foiled hardback, which I forgot to put the cover on, aka The Invisible Life of Addie Larue, and I am really enjoying this book. I know I've said about 1,000,001 times that I am a plot-driven person, but I think this book is changing me. This is very character-driven. It is very much about just following these characters through various aspects of their lives rather than following sort of one consistent plot, and I'm genuinely hooked. Incredibly unexpectedly so as well, because after I watched a video where Jesse the reader talks a bit about his experience with Addie Larue and how much he loved it and how it's really perfect for people who are worried about not leaving a mark on the world, I kind of thought, okay, so maybe this isn't going to be my thing, but I picked it up anyway because it's obviously on my schedule, and man, I am loving it. I think I've already told you guys what it is about, and when Jesse the reader says that it's for people who are worried about not leaving a mark on the world, I mean, he could not be more right. This is all about leaving a mark on the world, but also just about how you leave a mark on the world without even realizing it. Like Addie Larue, obviously her curse is purely based in the fact that no one remembers who she is and then she lives forever. But at the beginning of every sort of section of the book, it shows you like a piece of artwork that kind of demonstrates that she still has been able to leave a mark on the world, that she's been able to plant ideas in people's heads and people have been able to create artwork and fun and beauty and everything out of the idea that she's helped them create rather than her specifically being remembered by them, and I think that's really beautiful. Obviously, I love this budding relationship that she's building with Henry, and the bit that I'm at the moment, he has just dropped a massive bomb on her and it had me absolutely floored. I kind of suspected it from the beginning, but to have it confirmed, I was like, whoa, that is amazing. I'm so excited by this. I'm so excited by how they're sort of gonna bond over their mutual sort of experience. I'm honestly just really loving this book at the moment, and I'm loving like how the devil character was able to turn something so beautiful, so loving and so meaningful to Addie, like this wooden ring that she got from her father, into something that literally she sees as the whole like cause of her life being ruined. And I think it's also kind of symbolic that this ring is the thing that traps her in the state when the thing that she was trying to run away from was a wedding. So I think that's incredibly, incredibly symbolic. And then also the whole thing of everything coming full circle and there being no beginning and no end, because her life at the moment, obviously there's no end. But yeah, anyway, maybe I'm reading way, way, way too much into this book, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the characters. I'm loving Addie. I'm being heartbroken every time she tells you about an experience that she's had where someone's forgotten who she is. But the book is fascinating. I'm enjoying it, so I'm gonna get straight back into reading it after I've had some dinner. So I'll check in with you guys again maybe later this evening if I manage to smash out a ton of this book, or if not, probably tomorrow morning.
Just a quick note to say I have put up a poll in the Discord channel to try and pick my next book. The options are Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson, which has got 2 hearts at the moment, and Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Neon, so these are tying, and then Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. I'm kind of hoping for Heartstopper Volume 3 because that's the one that's next on my schedule, but it's coming in last place in the first like 2 minutes I put this up, so I guess we'll see, and I'll check back in with you guys in a minute to tell you what the update is. Sorry for the construction in the background. We are at a 3-way tie. Which book do you think is going to break into the lead of my very, very dusty screen? Anyone's guess?
It is Wednesday afternoon. I have just finished work and I have a big update for you guys, which is that I have finished 3 books since I last updated you. The first one being The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab, which I gave 5 stars. I am predicting it now. This is going to be my favorite book of 2022. I would not be surprised if it ends up that way because I fell in love with this book. This book for me just hit different. I got goosebumps so often, especially towards the end. I wanted to cry towards the end, and maybe I'm getting like overly emotional nowadays because I never used to be the sort of person that used to cry with books, but the books I've been reading at the moment, man, they are hitting. I mean, in my review of this book, the first thing I wrote was, damn Addie, you go girl, because the very, very end of this book felt like just a victory. It felt like a victory for Addie. It felt like a victory for the reader. It felt like a victory for just the whole story, given how it ended and how Addie was able to sort of make things go her way for once after being so out of control, I think, of so many aspects of her life for literally over 300 years. It was just so satisfying in a petty kind of way. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Despite being a book about a girl who is literally forgotten by everyone she ever meets, I love how the book sort of sprinkled throughout these moments of these impressions that she left on the world, and especially in artwork, and how she was able to plant ideas in people's head, and how there's just this history of artwork that incorporates her in it, and you're able to spot it by those 7 freckles on her face. Like, you know, she felt like she wasn't able to have an effect on the world, but she still found a way, whether intentionally or not, that she was able to make her mark and be remembered in a sort of artistic kind of way. And I felt that was so symbolic of, you know, even if you feel like you have no impression that you've left on the world, there's something out there. In this day and age, especially with photos and videos and everything, there is something out there that has you on it, that has you in it, that only you could possibly bring to the world, and that's exactly what she did, and I loved it. As I said probably a million times, I am a plot-driven person. That is what drives me through books. Things need to be fairly fast-paced, but this isn't a plot-driven book. It's a character-driven book. It's built to make you fall in love with these people and watch them sort of experience their life, and this book changed me, I swear, because I became so invested in Addie and in Henry, and even in the devil guy Luke. Like, I became so invested in those characters and in those relationships and all the side characters as well, that I never expected to love this book so much, because the plot wasn't exactly really what was carrying this story on. It was definitely the characters and their relationships. My love for those characters is just so immense and intense, and I love how you were able to literally fall in love with them as V.E. Schwab took you through every different aspect of their lives. There was a really beautiful symmetry in the fact that the story was written in 6 parts predominantly, except for the last part of the end, which is sort of a reflection on the story. And then there were also the 6 notebooks that Henry collected, sort of documenting Addie's life and how that came to be towards the end, how those notebooks were used towards the end. I thought that was really, really beautiful, and I liked the way it was all tied together in the end, so Addie was able to leave more of a mark on the world than she ever could have possibly predicted when she sort of initially made this deal. And the artwork that B was able to compile that all featured Addie and her 7 freckles was just beautiful and just inspiring, and this whole book had me contemplating my own mark on the world. But anyway, I don't want to get too intense with you guys with this book. I just want to say that I loved it so much. I loved the characters, I loved the relationships, I loved the way you were just, I love that V.E. Schwab was literally just able to make you fall in love with these people and want the best for them, and look forward to the day when Addie finally kind of wins. So yeah, I gave The Invisible Life of Addie Larue 5 stars. It's probably going to be my favorite book of the year. We shall see. I can't see anything really beating this book. But as for my update for the schedule and the bingo board, you can see the schedule here where we have The Invisible Life of Addie Larue up here, and then you'll see Heartstopper Volume 3 and Volume 4, which are the 2 books that I've read next. I'm not actually going to talk about these because I have 1,000,001 vlogs where I talk about them in more detail, so I'll link one of those up above and down below so you can go and check that out. But this is just to say I also read those 2, and this is what our bingo board is looking like at the moment. And so these big yellow crosses are me saying I have a bingo here. So I've got 1 bingo here and 1 bingo here, which is really, really exciting. I'll take you through sort of the prompts that I was able to tick off. So for The Invisible Life of Addie Larue, we got host favorite, because I think this is one of Pris's favorite books. I can't remember, but I know it's on the host favorite list. We also got recently hauled, because I bought this book very, very recently. And then on a previous TBR, I will link up above and down below the TBR that I referenced this book on. I think it's one of my 25 before 25 lists. I'm not 100% sure. I also ticked off join sprints, cozy reading time, and guilt-free activity. Those were just because I joined some sprints last night. Cozy reading time was last night. Again, I was in bed. It was beautiful. It was amazing. I had my blanket, everything. And then guilt-free activity, this is just in preparation for tonight. I'm going to see 6, the stage show, like the musical, with my sister. So that's a guilt-free activity that I'm doing tonight. So I figured I'd cross that off in advance. Next up, I put a poll up on Discord, and I think I included a video of that in like a previous clip. So I've crossed off a poll, and that's how I got Heartstopper Volume 3. That was also continue a series, and it was also favorite genre, because romance is a favorite genre of mine. And then lastly, I read Heartstopper Volume 4 and was able to tick off the 1-word title prompt, because I still consider Heartstopper the title and Volume 4 is just the sort of subsection, so I can still consider it a 1-word title. Don't fight me on it. I also ticked off free, and I also ticked off purple cover, because as you can see, the cover for Heartstopper Volume 4 is predominantly purple. So these are the 2 latest books that I have just finished reading, and as for what I am reading next, I don't have the book on me for this one, and it is The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson, which is the 4th book in the Truly Devious series. But the Truly Devious series, I guess, was sort of completed in the first trilogy, and this particular book follows a completely new mystery. As for what the sort of initial Truly Devious series is about, it is set in Ellingham Academy, which is a sort of illustrious academy for particularly gifted students, founded by Albert Ellingham, who sort of wanted to create a school based on his love of games, until one day he is thrust into the most dangerous game of all, when both his daughter and his wife go missing, and it starts off a cold case that isn't solved for like almost a century, I think. This is when the second timeline comes in and Stevie Bell enters the plot, who is a true crime aficionado. She enters the Ellingham Academy in a class of students, completely set on solving this cold case, until she is thrust into a dangerous game of her own, when some of her own classmates and friends start to go missing and wind up dead. The first 3 books in that series sort of followed that case, and it comes to a conclusion in the 3rd book, which I think is The Hand on the Wall. And then now I'm into The Box on the Woods, which starts up a new case case where Stevie is kind of well known for being the person involved in the Ellingham Academy case. And so she's recruited by a guy who owns a summer camp, I think it is, that has a particularly gruesome murder attached to it, and he wants her to come along and help him solve this other murder, and he's going to build a podcast out of it. I will tell you more about it once I know more. I'm only maybe a couple chapters in at the moment, so yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. As for literally right now what I'm about to do, I'm just about to leave home so I can go and see Six the Musical with my sister. We're gonna go for dinner first and then go see the musical. So I'm excited to do that, and I might bring you guys along with me because I know the end of the show they do let you film it. So I might include a clip here of me filming it. We'll see. Morning. It is Thursday. I have just finished reading The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. I finished it, I think, 5-10 minutes ago, and it's just before work, so I wanted to give you guys a quick update on my thoughts on that book before I smash into work today, because there is so much going on at work you wouldn't even believe. But yeah, anyway, forget about all that. I finished The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't as good as the Truly Devious series in my opinion, but maybe that's just because the Truly Devious series had a lot more time, like 3 books worth of time to flesh out the mystery and all the characters and all the people involved, whereas this one, I think, in comparison to that, felt a little bit rushed because everything happened a lot faster because the mystery was completely sort of encompassed in this one book. I love Stevie and her friends and the relationships and the teen angst and the fun there, and how all of them are so snarky in like their own way. Like I think Nathan or Nate, one of her friends, the author, is one of my favorite characters ever because he's just so snarky, and he had this really lovely character arc in this book where he got really way more involved in the actual murder mystery, and then there was this kid that was like bugging him to no end that ended up giving him inspiration for his next book, which I thought was hilarious. And I love that in every single murder mystery that Maureen Johnson writes in this universe, the ending is always so outlandish and unexpected, and you could literally never see it coming. Like when they do take you like Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie style, through how Stevie got to the ending and the conclusion that she did, and I love the level of detail that you get there. You do have those little things where you can go, oh yeah, no, I totally see how she made that connection and how that happened, but the overall broader like plot and the motive is always so outlandish and random, and you'd never be able to guess it. Given that the murder mystery was sort of completely encompassed in this one book, I think it did spend a lot more time focusing on the murder mystery and less so on the relationships and the characters that sort of were already established in the first like Truly Devious trilogy. And that made sense because they've got to dedicate, you know, a significant amount of time towards the mystery in order to, you know, wrap it up by the end of the book rather than in 3 books with the Truly Devious series. But like I said, it did feel a bit rushed at times. I would have liked to explore where the new characters were at now after all the trauma that they went through in The Hand on the Wall. And I do love the teen drama and the teen angst that you get in this series, because at the end of the day, these kids are all like high school age. So I kind of did miss that in this version of the book, which is why it did get 1 less star than the other books in the series have gotten. Plus, I think one of the murders that happened in this book was kind of completely glossed over. It didn't really get as much depth and detail, and it was sort of like a side plot more than anything. And I wanted a bit more time there, considering when we got those sort of present day murders in the Truly Devious series, we did get a lot of time with them. But if you've ever seen the movie, I think it's called Fear Street Part 2. It was like a Netflix 3 movie series that came out, I think, end of last year, I'm not sure, and it was really good. It was like a classic sort of slasher, very dramatic movie series. It had one of the girls from Stranger Things in it, the one with the red hair. Anyway, that's a side note, but the Fear Street Part 2 movie reminded me so much of this book, or the other way around, sorry. This book reminded me so much of that movie because it was set in this campground. It was super isolated. The state of the bodies was rather gross, and just everything. There was so much of that series, and the sort of the town around it being a little bit too perfect. There was so much that reminded me of that. But yeah, this book got 4 stars from me. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. It wasn't as good as the previous books, but I think that's just because it was a little bit rushed. But yeah, now I am moving on to my next book, which, as you'll see in a previous clip, I did have to put a poll up for because I needed to fill the blank color on the cover prompt on my bingo board, and the color that ended up being selected was pink. And so the next book that is on my list is Solitaire by Yaaaas Oseman. I actually literally bought this copy of the book last night because I really wanted to read it in hard copy. I do love Yaaaas Oseman's books and the stories, and I've obviously loved this particular sort of section of the story because it's following Tori, who is Charlie's sister, and obviously Nick and Charlie are from Heartstopper, so I'm excited to see the little snippets that we'll get of Nick and Charlie, and then also to learn a bit more about this mysterious sister that is always like popping up out of nowhere. She's always in the background, she's a little bit creepy. Like, I really want to know a bit more about her. But before I tell you what that book is about, I want to give you a quick update on my schedule and my bingo board. So as for my schedule, this is what we're looking like now. I have very much caught up. I think today is the 23rd of June. So I went from being like 3 rows behind schedule to now just 1 square behind, or 1 rectangle behind schedule. So I'm totally fine with that, given this actual schedule finishes on the 28th. So I do have a couple of days leeway. So this is where we're up to now, and as you can see, it was always kind of my plan to read Solitaire next. And then as for the bingo board, you can see it's looking a little bit more yellow, which is a good thing. That means we are getting some bingos. So I checked off this bingo this morning because the Box in the Woods ticked off the borrow a book prompt and the 2021 release prompt, and those were obviously the last 2 in this row, so I was able to get a bingo from that. And then it also ticked off the spooky book prompt, which the last one in this row is join a 48-hour readathon. Obviously the 48-hour readathon has been and gone, so I can't really join that now. So I'm going to actually replace this with do a 24-hour readathon where I read non-stop for 24 hours straight. I will be filming that entire thing and uploading it, and you can see what the, you know, it's probably going to be like lunacy by the end. I'll be delirious, but I think it'll be a bit of fun, and I think it's a good replacement for the 48-hour readathon. I bought this book last night. I'm super excited. As for what it's about, like I said, it follows Tori Spring, who is the sister of Charlie Spring, who is obviously one of the main characters in Heartstopper. I don't know anything about what this is about, so I'm going to read you the blurb, and it says, I don't ever remember not being serious. As far as I'm concerned, I came out of the womb spouting cynicism and wishing for rain. My name is Tori Spring. I like to sleep and I like to blog. Last year I had friends. Things were very different, I guess, but that's all over now. Now there's Solitaire and Michael Holden. I don't know what Solitaire are trying to do, and I don't care about Michael Holden. I really don't. So I know Michael Holden was mentioned in Heartstopper Volume 4 as someone that I think Charlie was kind of suspicious about Tori having feelings for him, or at least they had some kind of relationship, whether it be friendship or whatever. So I'm excited to learn more about who Michael Holden is, get to know Tori, and give you my thoughts once I've picked up the book. So yeah, I will update you guys in a bit, and I love that the text is really big. So see you in a bit. Morning. It is Saturday morning at 10:15 roughly a.m. and I am going to wrap up this vlog with my latest read and my thoughts. So I have just finished Solitaire by Yaaaas Oseman, which I gave 4 stars, which is sort of different to the usual 5 stars that I've been giving these books, but you know, it was enjoyable. I did really love this book. I finished it last night, and I probably should have updated you guys then, but Ben has a friend over today and the flat was really loud. They were playing music, and then also I had the worst headache just kick in last night, and it was just, I couldn't, like, my eyes hurt, I couldn't read a single other page, I couldn't listen to anything because my head was pounding, and I was definitely not in any shape to film anything. Plus my camera was out of battery, so I let it charged the whole night, charged the night away, and then now I'm giving you my update. So the first thing I wrote in my review on Solitaire was just, wow, that was an incredibly intense ending. It was just one thing after another for like 30 to 50 pages. Everything was just going absolutely haywire. We find out the identity of who Solitaire is and what their big last hurrah is, and it was mad. Solitaire as a book is both very different and incredibly in line with Alice Oseman's other books that I've read, in that it's in line with the books in that it's got a very big focus on mental health, like all of her other books do, and on sexuality as well. So it was really good to see that thread sort of continue throughout this book. But then in terms of it being different, it was very much more plot driven rather than character driven, I think, in that there was sort of like a concise plot that you were following throughout this book, rather than sort of getting to know the characters and their lives and helping them make their way through understanding who they are, like I have been doing with, you know, Heartstopper and with Loveless as well. I think the reason why this only got 4 stars from me was because the mystery of the identity of Solitaire was obvious from the beginning for me. I guessed it who it was right from the very beginning. It was just a bit too circumstantial and a bit too obvious for me, so that's why it did miss out on that final star, because it didn't feel like a mystery. But I did still love the extra layer of intensity and identity sort of added to the Solitaire personality right at the very end of the book. That was something that I didn't expect. As for the characters themselves, Michael was a very conflicting character for me. I couldn't decide if I loved him or I hated him. He was definitely a character that was going through a lot, obviously, throughout this book, and he had a lot of issues with his anger and temper and everything like that. But unfortunately, those issues with his anger and his temper and the way that he took that out on Tori and other characters, I had a little bit of an issue with that, so I wasn't able to fully fall in love with him. And then as for Tori, I think she's one of those characters that is both so familiar and so foreign, because you see her in Heartstopper and you kind of get to know her a little bit as the sort of character that she is and what her morals are and what her values are and what's important, but then you don't actually get to spend any time with her really in Heartstopper, so you don't get to see that hidden layer underneath everything and how she reacts to some of the events that take place, especially in Heartstopper Volume 4, and then her relationship with Charlie and Nick I thought was very interesting, because obviously those two characters, Charlie and Nick, are like perfection in Heartstopper, whereas you definitely are like on their side thinking they're amazing, whereas when you see something from her perspective, you can see areas in which she sort of doesn't idolize that relationship the same way that everybody else does. But yeah, I really enjoyed getting to know her a bit more, and I hope that she gets a little bit more time in future books, or I hope there's like a follow-up to this or something like that, because I would love to get to know Tori a little bit more. I hope maybe in the TV show she makes more of an appearance and some of this stuff comes into play. That would be awesome, but we shall see. But anyway, I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to go out and buy pretty much all of the other Alice Oseman books now, because I am officially obsessed. Sorry if the camera angle or the zoom or whatever has changed a little bit. I've just finished filming this video and then realized that I hadn't actually given you guys a progress update on my bingo board or my spreadsheet for keeping track of my progress. So as for my schedule, this is what we're looking like at the moment. 24th of June is here, which is 68 pages. So I haven't done this because today's the 25th of June, but I reckon I can catch up pretty quickly and get to this square and hopefully be back on track, and maybe even with my 24-hour readathon get ahead of schedule with these 2 books. So this is the last 2 rows of this readathon. It's super exciting, and we've got a full week left basically. So yeah, we are definitely going to read a few more books. And then as for the bingo board, the prompts that I selected for Solitaire were blank color on the cover. I did a poll in the middle-ish of this video, which I included in previous clips, where I basically chose a color and the color ended up being pink, so that worked. The second one is last letter, first letter, because I read The Box in the Woods right before this, and then Solitaire, obviously S and S, which I think were actually the same letters that I used in the previous bingo board for this prompt, which is kind of random. And then also I have complete a personal goal, which my personal goal was to finally build my second bookshelf and get my books fully sorted, which I did yesterday. I didn't include any clips of that, but I will show you a clip of what they look like now, which is really good. Sorry about the talking in the background. Alex's friend is being loud. As you can see, I've got a few like yellow lines on here of previous bingos, but I actually managed to get 5 bingos filling out these prompts. So I will show you what they are. We've got one bingo here, we've got another bingo here, we've got a third bingo here, a 4th diagonal up here, and a 5th diagonal down there. So we've got 5 bingos, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, this is what the final bingo board is looking like. And back to the previously filmed section where I actually wrap up this book. that is the last video I'm going to mention in this vlog. This is where I'm going to wrap up this vlog, and I know it's only Saturday, but it is because I am just about to start my 24-hour reading vlog, which basically means I read for 24 hours straight. I do not sleep. I obviously like eat and do all those other important things, but like I do not sleep. I read for 24 hours. So I'm super excited. I've got like energy drinks in the fridge ready to go, but yeah, I'm going to film that as a separate video. So this is where this vlog ends. Let me know down below what you guys have been reading at the moment, if you're loving it, if you're hating it, if you've read any of the books that I read in this vlog, what you think of them. I love to chat to you guys in the comments down below. Also let me know if you are taking part in Whateverthon and what some of your favorite books for this month have been so far. We've only got 1 week left, so yeah, come and chat to me in the comments. I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really hope you liked this video, and please do let me know if you did by liking, subscribing and hitting that notification bell all down below. It is a super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!